6 here on Rajya Sabha TV, where we get you the day's top developing stories. I'm Tracy Shilshi, and here are the headlines. Supreme Court asks West Bengal government to return the Shingur land allotted for Tata's nano project to farmers. The two-member bench calls the entire acquisition process illegal. US Secretary of State John Kerry calls on Pakistan to act against terror groups operating from its soil. Says dreaded groups like Al-Qaeda, Lashkar and Jaish-e-Mohammed cannot be fought by single nations. National shame for the national capital. Torrential rains cripple arterial and major roads of Delhi for the third time this month. And US-led coalition airstrikes kill Islamic State's chief spokesperson Abu Muhammad al-Adnani, one of the last living senior members of the group. Top story this evening, the Supreme Court has asked the West Bengal government to return land acquired for Tata Motors' nano car project in Shingur to the farmers. The bench has ordered the state government to identify the land acquired in 10 weeks and return it within 12 weeks. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has welcomed the order, terming it a victory for farmers.
In a landmark verdict, the Supreme Court on Wednesday quashed the allotment of 1,000 acres of land to Tata Motors for its aborted nano car plant in Shingur. The allotment was done by the then CPM-led government in West Bengal. The apex court also declared the entire acquisition process illegal.
I am very happy. We are very happy with this judgment. This was a long battle for 10 years of the land acquisition, and therefore this success is a grand success to us.
The Supreme Court find this is the land acquisition proceedings of the government of West Bengal has been illegal and bad in law. Therefore, set aside and quash the entire land acquisition proceeding and directed to the government of West Bengal, I mean the collector Hooghly district of West Bengal, to return the land within 12 weeks.
The land was allotted to Tata Motors in 2006 to set up its nano car manufacturing plant. 2 years later, the Tatas moved their nano operations to Gujarat after massive farmer protests led by Mamata Banerjee, then the top opposition leader in the state.
পশ্চিমবঙ্গ সরকার আমাদের আগের সরকার গায়ের জোরে ফোর্সফুলি যে আইনটা করেছিলেন WBIDC কে দিয়ে সেটা সেট অ্যাসাইড হয়ে গেছে এটা সবচেয়ে বড় ভিত্তি
This will create definitely a panic wave in the minds of the investors. None in future will come to West Bengal to invest because the land would be acquisition to purchase in whatever form. Ultimately some sort of litigation is always possible, and after 10-15 years if it is declared that the land acquisition was bad, then the investors will be in difficulty.
In its order, a bench of Justices V. Gopalagowda and Arun Mishra agreed for different reasons to quash the acquisition process and return the land to its owners. Justice Gowda said the acquisition of land in favor of a company by taking it away from the farmers cultivating it cannot be construed as a public purpose. However, Justice Mishra said the acquisition was indeed in public purpose as the factory would have given thousands of persons jobs. But both agreed that the inquiry process that led to the notification for acquisition was not properly held. The court has also allowed the farmers to retain the compensation paid to them as they had been deprived of their 10 years' income from the land by the state's acquisition. The state will also have to pay the compensation to those who were not paid.
There is no confusion, no contradiction. According to law we will work and law will take its own course. আমাকে ইনস্ট্রাকশন দিয়েছে আমার উইদিন মাই জুরিসডিকশন আমি যতটা করতে পারবো আমি সেটা মানব।
The court order came on petitions filed by farmers questioning the manner in which the land was allotted without adhering to sections 4 and 5 of the Land Acquisition Act, which mandate public notice for receiving objections. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry today called on Pakistan to push harder against extremist groups operating from its soil that are affecting its ties with India and Afghanistan. He was addressing a town hall session at IIT Delhi where he spoke at length on a number of issues, including India and its neighbours. John Kerry also met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the evening before wrapping up his India visit.
Heavy rains continued to play spoilsport on U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry's final day of India visit, perhaps the last one during Barack Obama's presidency. Kerry's scheduled visit to 3 religious shrines in the national capital had to be called off due to the heavy downpour. His planned schedule to address students at IIT Delhi was also delayed by nearly an hour as his cavalcade waded through the waterlogged roads. But once inside, the program went as planned. Kerry spoke to students on a number of issues ranging from terrorism to the South China Sea dispute, as well as economic matters. He told IIT students that the United States had made it clear to Pakistan that it needs to act against groups such as the Taliban-linked Haqqani network and Lashkar-e-Taiba that are suspected of operating from its soil to launch attacks against neighbors India and Afghanistan.
It is clear that Pakistan has work to do in order to push harder against its indigenous groups that are engaged in extremist terrorist activities. And they must work with us, and we've made this very clear, to help clear the sanctuaries of bad actors who are affecting not only the relationship between Pakistan and India, but also our ability to achieve peace and stability in Afghanistan.
Referring to the South China Sea dispute, Kerry also called on China and the Philippines to abide by the International Tribunal's decision, adding that there is no military solution to the problem.
Where the United States continues to call on China and the Philippines to abide by the tribunal's recent decision, which is final and legally binding on both parties. In addition, there's no military solution to this. The United States and other countries are united in an alliance that respects freedom of navigation, the norms and standards of the law of the sea, and the rule of law with respect to access to the high seas and to the oceans.
Kerry's statement on the South China Sea dispute comes just ahead of the G20 summit in China on the 4th and 5th of September.
John Kerry was trying to deflect the involvement of Pakistan government in issues of terrorism, and his main thrust was how to solve the South China Sea. Akhilesh Soman for Rajya Television with camera person Prasanta in Delhi.
Heavy rains lashed the national capital on Wednesday, leading to waterlogging in major roads that cripple movement of traffic across the city. This is the 3rd time in a month that the city has witnessed long traffic snarls, posing the all-important question, who is responsible for the mess?
Us all deserve an award for being able to get here today. I don't know if you came in boats or amphibious vehicles of some kind, but I salute you for being here. Thank you very, very much for making the effort.
National shame for the national capital. A few hours of torrential rains once again crippled arterial and major roads in Delhi. Massive traffic snarls were reported from major roads of Delhi NCR as motorists tried to reach their destinations.
At 9:45, when I on my way to this place, halfway, I was asked, requested to go back, since you all were stuck in, or some of you are stuck in traffic jam.
बारिश तो तेज हुई है, लेकिन इसका कारण ये थोड़ी कि बारिश हुई है, बारिश रुके हुए भी घंटों हो गए। हाँ, जगह जगह पानी की वजह से जो है ये जाम।
कोर्ट जाना था, मेरे मैटर लगे हुए हैं, लेकिन 1.5 घंटे से मैं पीछे इस पानी की वजह से जाम में फंसा हूँ, और ये जाम पिछले 4 किलोमीटर से लगा हुआ है, और मेरे को 3 जगह जाम मिला है, यमुना बाजार के पास, अभी इस पुल के ऊपर, और अब ये तीसरा, ये तो बिल्कुल स्टैंड स्टिल हुआ है।
बहुत अच्छी बारिश हुई पर जाम बहुत ज्यादा लग रहा है यहाँ पर।
कितनी देर से आप खड़े हैं यहाँ पर?
हो लिया तकरीबन आधा पौन घंटा हो लिया। अरे पुलिस वाले कहाँ दिख रहे हैं? यहाँ तक कोई पुलिस वाला ना, जाम हमको वैसे तो चलान काटने को आ जाएंगे, पर जैसे टाइम पे ना आते पुलिस वाले।
को तो प्रॉपर प्लानिंग चाहिए। दिल्ली शहर बसा कब का, और अब स्थिति ये है कि चारों तरफ इमारतें ही इमारतें हैं। जो ड्रेनेज सिस्टम है दैट हैज बिकम क्वाइट ओल्ड। अब इनको तो पूरे नए सिरे से सब कुछ करना होगा। कैसे करेंगे दैट डिपेंड्स ऑन द इंजीनियर्स, सुपर पीपल।
As the common man suffers each passing year, furor over lack of preparedness, choked drains, faulty roads and unchecked construction by the Municipal Corporation of Delhi as well as the state government has risen. Delhi has been brought to a halt at least thrice this month by what the Met Department calls normal rainfall.
आज सुबह दिल्ली एनसीआर के इलाकों में एक इंटेंस रेनफॉल स्पेल हुआ है, जिसमें 8:30 से और 11:30 के बीच में लगभग 60 मिलीमीटर 70 मिलीमीटर इस तरह की रेनफॉल कुछ जगह रिपोर्ट हुई है। इसी तरह की हैवी रेनफॉल का जो स्पेल है वो सुबह के समय में ही हैदराबाद में रिपोर्ट हुआ है, जहां लगभग 70 मिलीमीटर रेनफॉल रिकॉर्ड हुआ है। इस तरह का जो स्पेल था दोनों तेलंगाना हैदराबाद में भी और दिल्ली एनसीआर में भी वेल प्रेडिक्टेड था आईएमडी द्वारा।
दिल्ली के अंदर 500 से ऊपर पंप लगाए गए हैं, सब जगह पानी निकाला जा रहा है और इतनी हैवी रेन है तो 1 आध घंटा लगेगा पानी निकलने में। दिल्ली का ड्रेनेज सिस्टम प्लान्ड ही नहीं है और हैवी रेन के लिए डिजाइन नहीं किया गया।
देखिए, जिस तरह से पानी कल शाम को बरसा और आज सुबह भी, मैं इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की जरूरतों को समझते हुए ये जरूर कह सकता हूं कि कुछ इनकन्वीनियंस जरूर रही होगी, किसी भी शहर में हो, पर दिल्ली और गुरुग्राम के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के इम्प्रूवमेंट की बहुत साफ तौर पर जरूरत है और सरकार को इस बात पर काम करने की जरूरत है।
More than a dozen flights have been delayed. Civic authorities and Delhi police have both requested motorists to stay indoors as vehicular movement stood standstill for several hours in the national capital. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Union Cabinet today approved a number of measures to help quickly resolve disputes, pump in liquidity and deal with stressed assets in the real estate sector. The steps are expected to go a long way in reviving the sector.
That wherever there are disputes pending between public bodies and construction contractors under the old Arbitration Act, which was time consuming, there will be an option with consent to shift over to the new arbitration procedures, where there is a procedure for a cheaper and a quicker fast-track arbitral process.
The Union Cabinet on Wednesday approved a number of steps, one of which is an attempt to revive real estate and construction sector. It will help contractors to move to a speedier arbitration process, approve the release of 75% of the amount held up in dispute against bank guarantee, and provides for a conciliation board that will have independent domain experts in new contracts.
So to give liquidity into this sector, where awards have been made against a margin-free bank guarantee, 75% of the monies would have to be released, and the same will have to be pumped either into the project or into the banks, and if anything is left thereafter, the same can be used for further projects.
The Cabinet also gave post facto approval to promulgate an ordinance for the fourth time to amend the nearly 5-decade-old enemy property law. This provides safeguards against claims of succession on transfer of properties left by people who migrated to Pakistan and China after wars. Similarly, the Cabinet also approved a proposal to grant permanent residency status to foreign investors according to rules. Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV.
A 15-year-old boy was killed on Wednesday in clashes between security forces and violent protesters in North Kashmir's Baramulla district. The death took the toll in the ongoing unrest to 69. Danish Manzoor and 6 other people sustained injuries while security forces allegedly opened fire at stone-pelting protesters in Ladora in Sopore area. Danish succumbed to injuries while being shifted to a hospital in Sopore town. Clashes took place after authorities lifted the curfew from all areas of Kashmir after 53 days. Security forces were, however, deployed in sensitive areas of the valley to maintain law and order. More movement of vehicular traffic and people was seen in major areas of the valley, though. Normal life was disrupted in many other areas of the valley where schools, colleges and other educational institutions and shops remained closed. Kashmir has witnessed violent protests since the killing of Hizbul terrorist Burhan Wani in July. The separatist camp that is spearheading the agitation in the valley has extended their strike call now till Thursday. Meanwhile, mobile internet continued to remain suspended in the entire valley. With that, let's take you through what else made news across the country today in Nationwide. Unfazed by protests by opposition parties and local bodies, the CPIM-led LDF government in Kerala has restricted Onam festivities during working hours. Onam celebrations will begin on the 12th of September this year, and the government has ordered that the festivities should be conducted without causing difficulties to public offices and institutions. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis today cleared the changes in parole norms proposed by the Home Department. There will now be no parole for convicts in cases involving rape, dacoity and terrorism in the state. The Home Department will soon issue the notification of the amendments in the prison rules. The department also brought down the number of leave days under parole to 45 days from 90 days a year. An investigation into a land deal involving real estate major DLF and a company owned by Robert Vadra has reportedly found that former Haryana Chief Minister Bhupinder Singh Hooda did not follow the law in assigning land to firms. The investigation is being led by retired Delhi High Court Judge S.N. Dhingra. Both Robert Vadra and DLF has denied accusations of any wrongdoing. With that, a quick break here. Up next, we're getting international news. Stay with us.
Gyan chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue, symbolized by the ladders, rewarded, while the vices shown by the snakes are punished. Each square, in turn, also narrates some message of wisdom.
Welcome back. Let's get international news now. In what's being seen as a big blow to the Islamic State, the chief strategist and spokesperson of the terrorist group, Abu Muhammad al-Adnani, was killed in the US-led coalition airstrikes on Tuesday. The group said that one of its longest-serving leaders died in Aleppo city of Syria, where he was overseeing external operations. Meanwhile, the UN Security Council met to discuss possible sanctions over the use of chemical weapons in the ongoing Syrian civil war.
A US-led coalition airstrike killed Islamic State's chief spokesperson Abu Muhammad al-Adnani on Tuesday. The terror group said Adnani, who was responsible for attacks overseas, was killed in Aleppo province in Syria. Adnani was one of the last living senior members, along with self-appointed Caliph Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, who founded the terror group. Earlier this year, he had called for massive attacks during the Muslim holy month of Ramzan. The UN Security Council meanwhile met to discuss possible sanctions over the gas attacks in the ongoing Syrian civil war. The UN investigators said that the Syrian government forces used chemical weapons twice, while the Islamic State group used the mustard gas at least once in the conflict. However, the Council failed to agree on any action, with Russia questioning the evidence from the independent commission.
The panel is acutely aware of the ongoing use of chemicals as weapons in the Syrian Arab Republic. We also note with great concern that there is diversification of both the type of chemicals used and the actors involved. We cannot allow chemical weapons to become the norm of the already unspeakable conflict in the Syrian Arab Republic or anywhere else.
Syria's UN ambassador also dismissed the report's findings as biased.
Conclusions contained in the report were totally based on statements made by witnesses presented by the terrorist armed groups or their incubator environment. Therefore, these conclusions lack any physical evidence. whether by samples or attested medical reports.
The fighting continued on the Syrian border, with Turkish forces targeting the Islamic State militants in the city of Jarablu. Turkey has said that it will not stop the attacks until the threat is removed.
Bugün bizi yakan ateşin yarın size de değmesi kaçınılmazdır. O ateş sizi de yakacaktır. Biz tüm terör örgütleriyle mücadelemizi hukuk içinde ilkeli bir şekilde sürdürdük, sürdüreceğiz.
Turkish-backed forces began the offensive last week by capturing the Syrian frontier town of Jarablu from the Islamic State. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to Brazil now, where the country's first woman president, Dilma Rousseff, is almost on the verge of being impeached. Votes continue to pile up against her at her impeachment trial earlier today. Latest estimates from independent analysts say the upper chamber will easily reach the two-thirds majority, that is 54 out of 81 senators, to convict Rousseff. Loyalists, however, say they have not lost hope of saving the Workers' Party president yet. A final verdict on Dilma Rousseff's fate will be declared later tonight. The decision will seal the political future of Dilma Rousseff, considered one of the country's most striking personalities. She was suspended from office in May this year, pending the Senate trial. She's been charged with spending public funds without congressional approval and illicitly using money from state banks to boost public works to favor her 2014 re-election.
Eu solicito à Secretaria-Geral da Mesa que conduza ao plenário para se dirigir à mesa da sessão. Senhor escrivão.
And now let's get you through some more international news updates in Global Buzz. At least 11 persons were killed and 3 missing after Typhoon Lion-Rock lashed Japan. Local media reported that 9 bodies were recovered at an elderly home after mud swarmed the care facility. The victims have not been identified as yet. Flights and rail services have been cancelled, and Japan's self-defense force is proceeding with search and rescue operations. The death toll has now risen to 20 following a suicide car bombing in Somalia's capital city of Mogadishu on Tuesday. Many people were injured in the attack, with victims including both soldiers and civilians. The attack took place outside a popular hotel close to the presidential palace. The militant group Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for the attack. Malaysian police today arrested 3 suspected Islamic State militants who were planning attacks on entertainment outlets, police stations and the Hindu temple at Batu Caves. The trio were planning to attack their targets using grenades and firearms on the eve of the National Day. The arrest was carried out in an operation conducted by the Special Branch Counter-Terrorism from the 27th to the 29th of August in Selangor, Kuala Lumpur and Pahang. Many representatives of Myanmar's ethnic tribes gathered today in Naypyidaw for peace talks. As the Panglong peace talks began, some representatives of the country's armed ethnic groups say they are hopeful the conference will be able to unify the country, though others are not quite as optimistic. The talks are the first formal peace negotiations since Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy party swept elections last November. And finally, let's take you through the latest in the world of sports in Sports Beat. India's star batsman Virat Kohli maintained his #1 position in the ICC T20 batsman rankings, while off-spinner Ravichandran Ashwin returned to the top 5 in the bowlers list, climbing up to 4th spot from 7th. In the team rankings, New Zealand tops the list, followed by India at #2 and West Indies at the 3rd place. England posted the highest total in one-day internationals as they beat Pakistan by 169 runs to take an unassailable 3-0 lead in the 5-match series. Batting first, the English side parred it made 444 for 3 thanks to England's highest individual score of 171 by Alex Hales and the fastest 50 by Josh Butler, who went on to make 90 not out. Pakistan in reply were bowled out for 275. In the US Open, world number 1 Serena Williams opened her campaign with a tidy 6-3, 6-3 win over Ekaterina Makarova of Russia. Serena, who suffered an injury before the tournament, showed no signs of rust as she dispatched her opponent in just 63 minutes. Serena's elder sister, Venus, also entered the second round, beating Ukraine's Katerina Kozlova in 3 sets. However, former world number 1 Anna Ivanovic bowed out in the first round. In the men's singles, second-seeded Andy Murray cruised into the second round with a 6-3, 6-2, 6-2 win over Lucas Rosol, while two-time Grand Slam winner Stan Wawrinka beat Spaniard Fernando Verdasco in 3 straight sets. Six-seeded Kei Nishikori also advanced to the next round after dropping 1 set against German Benjamin Becker. And that's all we have for you on the news at 6. Thanks for joining us.